Hello and welcome back to another video, this time with Claudius and I. Now, I have been presented with a fantastic opportunity to go and photograph the world famous steam train, which is the Flying Scotsman. Now, over the next couple of days, which for me is the weekend, it will be travelling from Kidderminster to Bridgnorth about 3 times a day over the next 3 days. And I just can't miss out on this opportunity to go and photograph this fantastic beast. So I've done my research already, and the only place I feel on the route, which is the Severn Valley Railway, that could do this amazing beast justice is to have it on a viaduct. And I've found a viaduct just south of Bridgnorth next to this mill, Daniel's Mill. And what an amazing photograph it would be to be down in the valley with the viaduct and the steam train going across it. Now the steam train is going to be leaving on its first journey from Kidderminster just after 9 o'clock, and with it being July, the sun's already going to be quite high in the sky, so I'm hoping that it's not going to be too much of a sunny day, and I'm hoping it's not going to be a complete disaster with a torrential rain downpour. I'm just hoping that it's going to be clement, partly cloudy, or even overcast would do me fine. So the plan is to get the Flying Scotsman going over the top of this viaduct, maybe with the mill in the background, and to do it some justice. Now, looking at Google Earth, it looks like there's a couple of footpaths, and I may be able to get down into the little valley where it looks like there's a stream, but I'm hoping that I can get back far enough, isn't that right, Claudius, to get the viaduct, the mill, the steam train and some of the foreground in the picture. Now I'm probably thinking I'm going to take my 50mm lens, only because I want to portray the steam train as the eye sees it. I was thinking maybe I take my 16 to 35mm lens, but I'm a little bit concerned about distortion. With wide angle lenses and human made objects, sometimes you can introduce distortion and it doesn't look quite right. It's okay for landscape photography, but because we've got quite an engineering man-made, human-made structure, then I don't want to introduce any distortion. Without further ado, I'm gonna get my kit ready today, and then I'm gonna set out tomorrow and set myself up, and before the steam train comes along I'm gonna do a lot of test shots and see if I can get the composition spot on, and practice before the steam train comes along. Well, having checked on the weather app this morning, it's going to be an overcast day all day long, which is fine by me because I'm not going to have to do battle with the glorious sunshine and get sunburn. I'm not going to have to worry about harsh shadows and saturated colours. It's not completely flat. There is a little bit of interest and a little bit of sunlight breaking through the clouds every now and again, so maybe we'll get an interesting sky in the background. But having checked the Met Office weather app and the Google app, might have to battle with a little bit of drizzle, but I think it'll be completely fine. And now I am on location. So I'm now on location at Daniel's Mill, and I'm going to get out the 50mm lens, stick it on and see how far back I need to go to fit the viaduct in, some kind of interesting foreground, and the mill in the background. So with access to the stream a bit precarious, wish me luck. So I think this time probably going to take a few shots at f16 to capture as much data of the scene as possible and to try and get sharpness throughout the photo. And then for the actual Flying Scotsman, I think I'm probably going to open the app picture up and make it a bit bigger and say go to f8 and be there, as they say. So I'm getting set up, no faffing around. We'll get the Flying Scotsman nice and pin sharp. Now the train is going to be coming, if I flip you round, the train is going to be coming from this direction heading into Bridgnorth, which in the Western world, going from right to left might not work. We'll see what we get. We've got a couple of tries to get this one right. So again, because I've got the camera on the tripod with the 50mm lens on, I'm just going to quickly go to menu on my steady shot, just turn it off because I'm on the tripod and I don't want the optical stabilization interfering with the fact that it's on a tripod. So this is the composition I have at the moment, with Daniel's Mill right behind the viaduct, a little bit of foreground, and then plenty of space to get the Flying Scotsman in. I just have to be really careful now not to move the camera. Do you know what? This is one of the rare occasions where I think it might be worth going manual focus mode on this one. So I've got the camera to focus on the viaduct and I've switched the focus mode over to manual focus, only because I've noticed when taking some preliminary exposures of the viaduct, the 50mm does tend to drift in and out of focus a little bit before actually finding a spot where it's happy. So I really don't want to risk anything, so I'm literally going full manual. Mechanical shutter is on, optical stabilization is off because I'm using a tripod. Shutter, aperture and ISO are all manually set, and the focus is manual. It's like the old days of photography. Now I've just got a couple of weeds just impeding the view of Daniel's Mill, so without flying down into the brook, I'm just going to squash those down a little bit. This is just nail biting, listening out for any sign of a steam train. All I can hear is water and pigeons, the former of which makes me want to go to the loo really badly. Here we go. This is definitely the Flying Scotsman, and it's going quite slow, which is good. Oh, brilliant, got it. There's people waving, which is nice as well. Fantastic. Wow, what an amazing feat of engineering. I'm obviously talking about the viaduct and the steam train, but the photo itself was an amazing feat of engineering, and I only wish in the video I'd covered more of the technicalities. See, it's actually 3 images blended together, and because I wanted to get the whole scene in focus from front to back for the viewer, I closed my aperture right down to f16, and one of the first exposures was for the highlights, or what I like to call the skylights, trying to preserve as much detail as possible in the clouds. Another exposure was what I call a nominal exposure, to protect the details in the shadows, and these two were high dynamic range blended in Lightroom and edited. And then the third exposure, where I've opened up the aperture f8 only so I could increase the shutter speed and not mess about too much with the ISO, is for the Flying Scotsman itself, and again that is also edited in Lightroom and exported. And then the final stage of the process is to put the Flying Scotsman back on top of the viaduct, so we have this amazing photo that is completely in focus from front to back, and we also have the Flying Scotsman captured, pin sharp, frozen in time, rendered on top of the viaduct for a lifetime. Now hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, the only thing I'll ask is if you can give it a thumbs up so other people can see it. That would be great, because it takes a lot of time and effort to make these kind of videos, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.